tradition that the Steelers have and get to put in a group with the names that are on that wall. I almost don't believe you belong. You know what I mean? Because some of those guys, a lot of those guys are the greatest football players that ever played this game. It's humbling and I'm honored to be just thrown in the same sentence with them.
You got that phone call. What was going through your mind? Or did you think back to your career and some moments during that years?
I was actually in shock, to be honest with you. When Mr. Rooney called and said, I didn't know what to expect, what he was calling about, and then he told me that. It was almost speechless, like, thank you, and then you hang up the phone, you kind of sit there for a little bit, and then it kind of settles in. And then, you know, the days leading up to this and then driving up to camp, you start to kind of reflect a lot on all the memories and the friendships and experiences that you've gone through as a Steeler here.
And then to share that moment with James Harrison has to be special as well.
Absolutely. I mean, James is probably one of the best football players I've ever been, but he's a great guy and a friend, and you know, well deserved to him. Like to have him going in there with me too, both guys on that same defense, and the things that we did together it's going to be a pleasure.
You figure a few more guys from those teams are going to be joining you here in the next few years?
Oh, I have no doubt. I mean, I look back at the groups and the players that we had and the quality of the guys on those teams. They might run out of room on those walls.
Aaron, you called James's interception return one of the greatest plays in Super Bowl history, and everybody says Super Bowl history. What about history?
Oh, period. I mean, if you look at the play, like Coach LeBeau said, if you look at the play, it embodies who we were as a defense. Like he made the interception, he ran, but you look at how many guys helped him succeed and what they had to do to help him get in the end zone collectively as a defense. I mean, I think that sums it up right there. It wasn't just one. James is a great player, and he made a great play, but there's a lot of guys that helped him get to there. And that's kind of what we did, helped each other succeed.
What was your greatest play?
Oh, I don't even know. I can't
What was your favorite?
I don't know. I think there was probably the one that I just have to say shocked me was one when I sacked Cincinnati's quarterback, but the running back came to cut block me, and I just jumped over him and grabbed his collar. Now that would probably be illegal nowadays, to be honest with you. But I remember watching it on film and thinking, how did I even know how to make that play? You know what I mean? Like sometimes you turn things on, you do things you don't even understand. Like you're like, I don't know how I knew to do that. You know, when you shock yourself, I think you made a pretty good play.
Aaron, you came to a place with a lot of tradition. To add to that with a couple of titles, what was the significance of that to you?
I think just carrying on the tradition. You know, when you become a Steeler, it's kind of a level of expectations of excellence and to put forth your best effort. And I think just to be part of that and to be able to contribute and carry on that legacy and tradition is immense. You know, and I think anybody that takes on and puts on that uniform probably feels that. I mean, you see Mike Tomlin and those guys out there, I guarantee they feel that the time you walk into this place, that expectation is there to win the Super Bowl. I thought it was a joke when I first came here. When Coach Cowher stood up and said, yeah, we plan on winning the Super Bowl. I'm like, guys, how about we win the first game? But that's just the level of expectations that this organization has for greatness.
Cam Hayward spoke when he was talking to us the second day up here at camp about, speaking of legacies, the tradition of passing on the heritage to guys who might even be competing for your job at that moment, like the next generation. Can you speak to how you handled that and how you did that with Cam and some of the other defensive ends?
I can tell you honestly, the way I always looked at it is when Kiesel came, he was supposed to replace me. Chris Combs was supposed to replace me. Ziggy Hood was supposed to replace me. Like all these guys, not once did I ever feel like sabotaging. My idea was I'm going to help you as much as I can, because if you get better, then you're only going to push me and make me better. And if you can beat me, then beat me. And you can ask Kiesel this day. I always told Kiesel, try to take my job. That was my mentality. I wasn't going to sabotage you. I wasn't being a jerk, but I believe that you being better is going to make me be better, and we'll be better as a team. And that's kind of, I bet you most of our guys on that defense felt that way. Make each other better, as collectively we'll be better as the more competitive. You know, those years that we won those Super Bowls, practices were more competitive than the games. And we used to joke about that. Like we would get after each other that much more in practices than we would in games. Games felt kind of easy at times.
Who was the driving force behind those practices?
I think you had a collective embodiment, a group of guys. I think you had a lot of guys on those teams that were very competitive, good guys, good teammates, and just wanted to compete and be the best we could possibly be as a collective group. And I think defensively, I say LeBeau, Coach Mitch, those guys all set that kind of tone, but we just bought into it, and you have a collective group, a core group of leaders that kind of drive the force.
Aaron, Coach Tomlin was on a podcast talking about your defense and saying you were so physical that they had to change the rules because of you. Just what was it that made that identity and personality of the defense unique, and where did that come from?
I think it's just from the day I came here. I'll be honest with you. When I came here with Coach Cowher, it was just kind of the mentality. I think it probably came from the '70s with Joe Green and them. Like, if you could be a lot of things, but you could not be a pushover or soft guy. You know, and that was kind of the thing. When you walked in here and you had to play a defense, like, they didn't care how talented you were. If you weren't willing to put your hand in the pile and compete and be physical and get after somebody, we didn't want you. And that's just kind of it. Doesn't mean you're a jerk. It's just the way we wanted to play football. And if you weren't one of those guys, then you weren't going to be accepted in the group.
When you first got here, who was a player, or who were some players that kind of took you under their wing and got you on the right path throughout your career?
So so when I first got here, it's funny because Mark Bruner was one of the first guys to talk to me. You know, usually the older guys wouldn't talk to you very much. Mark Bruner, I actually was suspicious of him. He was so nice. But he actually is genuinely that nice of a guy. But I'm like, why is this guy so nice to me? I'm only a rookie. I got a lot of respect from Mark. But then it's funny because then Kima von Oelhoffen came from Cincinnati, and he helped me immensely with like technique and understanding how to play the game, because it takes a lot. Like, you can have the tools, but you got to be able to think the game while you're playing the game. And he kind of taught me how to think through things and play the game in your mind while you're playing the game physically.
Do you watch how Cam is being unloosened
Oh yeah.
from the five? And do you wish?
I love what we had. Don't get me wrong. Like, we had a lot of success and we have Super Bowls, and I'll take those any days over Pro Bowls. To be honest with you, you give me the Super Bowl champions, and most guys in the league will tell you they want the Super Bowls. But yeah, it would have been nice to be loose and getting a wide 3 or a 4 and just go, or getting a wide 5. And yeah, it would have been nice. I mean, I did it in college, but you know, the reality is this system we had worked for us, and the group we had, we were pretty good at what we did.
Aaron, how do you think Cam and guys since you played have carried on the legacy?
Cam's unbelievable. You know, Cam, I think this is one of the things I would like to say to Cam, and the older guys would say it to us sometimes, like, you could have played when we played. And I'd say Cam's one of those guys. He was a guy that we would have had on that defense and played with us. If that's a compliment to him. Like, we would have accepted him by all means as part of us.
Couple more. Aaron, there's the famous ESPN cover where that entire Super Bowl defense, and that's always circulating. You know, where do you feel like that defense ranks among some of the greats?
Yeah, I think you're asking me. I don't even have the statistics on it. I'll say we're pretty good. I don't know. You'd have to ask you guys to figure that one out. That's for your job.
IUP's a bigger school in northern Colorado, isn't it?
It is very similar. Yeah. Not bad.
He can get there.
Oh yeah. Yeah, we always joke about D2. I'm a D2 guy. You know, I came from a Division II school. You know, you just got to get your foot in the door, and once you get in here, you just got to make the most of it. Mr. Rooney said it doesn't matter where you come from, how you get here, who you are. Once you hear what you do with it, that's the difference.
Tickle Bo paid you a pretty high compliment, the best 3-4, and he ever coached. What does that mean to you to get that compliment from him, and what did he mean to your career?
Coach LeBeau was a huge part of my career. You know, I mean, he taught me a lot about it as a football player, and a lot about being a man and how to treat people. Any compliment from Dick LeBeau is an immense compliment. I have nothing but the utmost respect for him. He's a great coach, but even a better human being than he is a coach.
All right, thanks, Aaron.
Thank you.